Hello and welcome to my channel, it's Vin Jelly here. Today I'm going to be doing a picture of this old house, and here's the drawing for it. It's quite a tight drawing, and yes, I did use a straight edge to do some of the line work with, because with the texture of the watercolour paper I wanted the lines to be fairly crisp. So I'm working into the windows first and getting some of the details established. And I like this early stage because it has a sketch quality about it. It's about applying the paint very lightly and not getting too involved. So here goes a yellow wash to establish some warmth from the sun, and then the cool of the tiles going on top of that. And there's hardly any paint there. And once I start establishing these shadows, the whole thing begins to take some form. So you can get quite a lot out of watercolour with very little if you're controlled and don't go too full on with the tonality at first. And I like this stage. This stage is quite attractive in my opinion. It's got a kind of unfinished sketchy quality. It's transparent, it's almost ghostly, which is what the house made me think of. It's got an abandoned feeling. It's at Belstone on Dartmoor. I don't know whether it is abandoned, but it certainly looked like it might have been abandoned at some stage in the not too far long away future. So at this stage I just add a bit of sky, which means you've got the building, the top of the building lighter than the sky, which helps to give it form. The risk was always putting in the trees, because the actual photograph, as you can see, is not that amazing. Lockdown, folks, you can't get out and work outside very much, and so I'm having to work from photographs here that I've taken, and this was always a bit of an experiment, as I often say with my paintings. They always seem to be. So I'm hoping that the focal point being those windows and being quite tightly painted will draw your eye in, and the rest of it's quite abstract. So adding these warm bricks and stones in the foreground offsets and is complementary to the foliage. I'm using a spattering technique, there's bits of salt going on, getting some textures, playing with watercolour. It's not about actual photorealism or anything like that, it's about creating effects and atmosphere, which I like watercolour for doing those things. As you can see, the building's still very pale, and I will work on that as the painting develops to try and exploit some of the tones and pull and push a little bit. But I won't go as dark as the original source photograph in any way. So adding a bit of the detail to the chimney gives a second kind of focal point, and there's a space through from the windows that draws the eye up to it. So those are the two main focal areas, and the leaves and textures are more about watercolour technique and expression. And here's a close-up of it going on, and I'm adding some of the whites with a little bit of white watercolour or white gouache, I forget which it was now. It has a tendency to darken off and fade a little bit, whereas something like white ink stands out a bit lighter, but I haven't used that on this particular painting. So you can see a lot of it's quite abstract, but it's suggesting forms of trees, and you're looking through at those windows. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll hope to see you again later. And here it is with a small mat, but it may need a bigger mat, and there's it is without a mat, which might look better.